Hi, good morning, everyone, or wherever you're watching this from the future. Today, I'm going to be talking about my pretty much well-rounded marketing strategy. I'm going to be training here for the next 4 weeks. So this week, I'm going to be talking about what I call my LASSO strategy, which is just a acronym for land, air, sea, and strategic operatives in my approach on how I market myself and my business overall. Then next week, I'm going to be covering my morning routine. I practice an offense defense period as far as that goes, and I'll break that down at that time. Then I'll be covering my initial client phone call and how that essentially works the first 15 minutes when we connect with the client. And then I'll be talking the last week on setting proper boundaries and expectations with clients so that we don't run into hurdles that we can potentially avoid when we are out there representing clients. But really what has been really successful for me over the course of the last really 5 years since I really started implementing it is I do a lot more with digital marketing, and I really started adding more to that as I went along. So I'm going to really break down the LASSO strategy by the acronym as I go through it. Most of you are probably familiar with a land approach. Land approach is more of your belly-to-belly relationships with consumers out in the market. So one thing that I do most every day, not every day, but probably 3 to 4 times a week, is I have a mobile office. I will go out to different restaurants, coffee shops in my market, and I will actually sit there and do most of my work at the bar tops or the coffee shops where people can see me in person. On top of that, I also go to 3 different gyms in my area. And I like to show up about 15 minutes early so I catch the people who are leaving the group fitness classes before I arrive, and then while I'm actually at the gym, and then I try to stay a little bit later to catch the people coming in as well. So I call this my land approach. This is where you're actually being belly to belly and in front of consumers in the marketplace. Kind of a more old school approach. This would be doing open houses and hanging out with the community as far as that goes. I don't personally host open houses. Myself anyways, I don't think that they're really a productive thing for my sellers. I know that there are other people that have different opinions on that. Same thing goes with networking. I don't really like to go to referral networking groups because in my experience, a lot of those people who are at those things are just referring what I call average business to other average people. And most people already know a real estate agent anyways, who they're going to refer that business to. And I just don't have the time to commit an hour every single week to sit in a room and go through that. But that is definitely an approach that I would consider as part of a land strategy. Really what the land strategy is just being in front of people. So you probably hear the dogs and the cat in the background, making my morning a mess. My dogs are about a third of my brand. You'll see that in a lot of my marketing, and I hang out at a lot of dog parks. I also consider, going on walks in specific neighborhoods with my dogs as another part of my brand, because if someone has seen me or interacted with me in the past, they probably know who I am, and my dogs are pretty recognizable. And it's not uncommon for me to be doing one of those things and someone just like pulls over and starts talking to me. And it's just been a good strategy overall. So that's all really, honestly, free marketing. I feel the land approach is, but I also feel it's kind of more of an old school approach. I just do it in a more strategic way in where I'm showing up for consumers in the marketplace. Where it gets really fun is with my digital marketing strategy. So I run roughly 2 to 3 different video ads every single week on Facebook. I actually learned this strategy from Krista Mayshore back in 2019. When I first got into the business, I was actually doing phone prospecting 2 to 3 hours a day, calling people who had registered online, like Google ads for the most part, and having a conversation with them. I don't call it cold calling because these are actually people who raise their hands that they're actually interested in buying or selling real estate. But what I learned about that side of the business was that it was like a hamster wheel. Like if you're not making the phone calls every single day, it can get really draining. And in 90 days, that is going to affect your paycheck because you're not doing the work, right? I still do make phone calls from time to time nowadays. It's not as consistent as what it was in the past. Most of my business is repeat referral because of this overall arching strategy that I'm teaching today. But when I run the Facebook ads, it's not uncommon for me to reach anywhere between 30 and 40,000 Rochester area locals inside of a week and get anywhere between 100 and 200 hours of video watch time. And that's really only with an ad spend of roughly $200 to $300 a week on Facebook. Now, that involves targeting, retargeting, creating custom audiences. That's a very intricate process. This is much larger than just boosting. If you're not running any video ads, then just at least go do some boost. But honestly, if you want to do this in a more strategic way, I learned that from Krista Mayshore. My digital marketing approach, I feel, is one of the reasons why I've won Best Real Estate Agent in my city the last 3 years in a row. Is people can constantly are seeing me show up in the marketplace when I'm running those video ads, right? So I feel like the video ads are the most important part. In addition to that AIR approach from the Google lead generation to the video ads on Facebook, is I'm very dominant on how I handle my Google business page. With my Google business page, I currently have over 100 5-star reviews on there. With Sotellus, I have over 250 5-star reviews. That is a system which collects reviews and it will actually disperse them out to Google, Zillow, Homes, Realtor, any website that you post into that. So it goes into those multiple platforms. But I like to make sure that I'm explaining to my clients how I want them to write those reviews, because people do look at those things. And if they're looking at my reviews, if a potential client's looking at my reviews and they're looking at another agent's reviews, mine are going to look a lot better. Another key strategy with that, really anyone should be able to do this next one because it's free, is figure out where your about page is. If you have a website, the number 2 most visited page on that other than your homepage is your about page. What I did about 5 years ago is I made a list of my 10 biggest competitors here in my market. And then I looked at 10, not competitors, but 10 other agents across the country that I knew that were crushing it. And I looked at what they were putting in their about pages. And then what I did is just wrote down kind of commonalities, what they put in there: awards, mission statements, core values, different photos, some of the key things about their family life, their education, their credentials. And then what I made it was so that if someone was comparing my about page to one of these other agents' about page, my about page would stand out much better. And I do share anytime I get off the phone with a potential client, whether it's a referral or an online lead coming in, is I will send over 2 links, a link to Sotellus for my over 250 5-star reviews, and then a link to my about page. And I tell people, I want you to look at these things so that you can see that I'm a credible and reliable real estate agent. Many people have already come to me, they've already done their research, but I want to make sure that I'm putting that extra touch in there as well. So from the AIR approach, that is your digital marketing approach. That is online information. It's not tangible. It's not belly to belly. These are just things where people are seeing things on Facebook. They're seeing YouTube videos. I've done a lot of YouTube videos in the past. My Google page, my Google business, my about page. I do a lot with my Facebook stories too. Like if I am out at a restaurant or bar in the morning visiting people who are doing work, I'll take a photo of my laptop along with my notes and some of my a cup of coffee, for example, and I will post that to my story because it's constantly showing people who are interacting with me on my personal page that I'm actually doing consistent work. And people want to work with people who are busy. So I think it's important that you're always focusing on the digital approach as well. One thing that's been really good for me over the last few years is what I call my C approach. Now, these are tangible items that people can touch, but it's not really physically being belly to belly with me where they get to know who I am or see me in the real world. These are things like your for sale signs. If you ever look at my for sale signs, they have my photo on it. They also have my dogs on it as well. I had a freelancer create the design on that. I always recommend people, if you're having designs made, whether they're postcards, for sale signs, business cards. I have my car wrapped. I hired contests on Freelancer for $200 to create my car wrap design. I had over 200 submissions for how that wrap was going to look like, and I just awarded the $200 to the winner. And then that person has actually done a lot of consistent work for me over the course of the last year as well. So definitely use the Freelancer to your do it once and it gets a lot easier, but I'm telling you that if you use those freelancers, it's going to make your whole world a lot better. So it would take me a minute to find my for sale sign. See if I can find one here on my foam. But while I'm talking about that, one thing that's been really powerful for me over the course of the last year, and I call this my C approach, is I have different bar coasters that I drop off at different restaurants and bars here in my area. And they're at 40 different locations here in the Rochester area. And these coasters, they have, my awards on them. They have my dogs on them. They have a quick little joke from the dog saying that we're all house trained. It's got a link where my about page is on there. It's got all my contact information on there. And I call this my C approach. This is something where it's a tangible item, but they're not actually physically belly to belly with me. I'll tell you, restaurants, bar owners, they love these things because a lot of the people who used to drop those off, the beer providers, they stopped doing that around the COVID time when money started getting tight. So they don't really share that information with the bars anymore. I've only had 3 restaurants or bars who have said no to these things. And I'm telling you, they do work. It's pretty much every other day right now. I'll have a prospective client or someone who has worked with me in the past who will actually like take a photo of that and then send it along to me to show that they've seen it out there. I'll try to see if I can find a photo of the dogs in front of a for sale sign since someone's asking. Oh, my lock boxes, they also have my branding on there as well. I also have, these are older for sale signs. My for sale signs are actually a little bit more improved now. My business cards, here's my car. All right. It's got the dogs on there. You can look this up on my personal Facebook page, Alex Merritt. Select everything here for you guys today. And then I also have my dogs on my business card as well. And I say this is my C approach. These are things that people are physically seeing, but it's not actually interaction with me. I also have different postcards that go out to people regularly. These ones are actually more for my alumni clients or my referral sources. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I also use Wise Pelican, and I target 750 different houses in 3 different neighborhoods in my market that I really like to be in front of. And I establish myself as a neighbor expert in those things. And I also take a consistent time where I'm actually walking the dogs around those neighborhoods. So I'll actually get in my wrapped car. I'll put it in an intersection that's pretty busy in one of those neighborhoods where people are going to see it, whether it's, usually I do my walks in the morning between 7:30 and 8:30 with the dogs, and people are getting ready to leave for work. And then I'll do between 4:30 and 5:30. This doesn't happen every day. I got other work that I have to do as well, but I know I have to walk my dogs anyways. They want the exercise, so I might as well do it in locations where people are going to be seeing me in person. And if they are getting a postcard in the mail from me with me and my dogs on it, and then they see me walking down the street, it's another example of a place where you can see me. Also, if they've ever gone to any of the restaurants or bars here, they'll probably see me on the coaster. With Wise Pelican, you can actually target people on your Facebook page who are in those neighborhoods that you're targeting as well. So I'm kind of hitting them from multiple different approaches here. I'm hitting them from both air and see if they do see me out in the market, or they pull over and they start talking to me when I'm out walking the dogs out there. Now they get to see me from that land approach. So they're seeing me from multiple angles for about 4.5 years now. It's not a lot of people will tell me that they see me everywhere. And it seems like I work a lot, but I really don't. I probably work about 20 hours a week. And I'm usually on taking a trip or a vacation for 4 days every single month. But by doing this consistently and regularly and building a lifestyle of design around these things, it's made it much easier for me to, bring in business. We call it an attraction-based marketing strategy. And by making sure that I'm showing up in multiple different formats, it's been really, really powerful. So especially those coasters, the coasters, that was probably the best thing that I started doing in the last year, is just how many people, and the bartenders and the servers, they love it. And I'm sure there are some agents out there who are really irritated that they didn't think of it. So if you're going to do it, do it. If you are looking for how to create those designs, I used Freelancer to create the designs. I sent them the template for the production company that I wanted to have do it. You want to make sure your coasters are good quality for sure. You don't want one of those like flimsy, cheap ones. There was another agent in my market who did actually try to copy me on it. And he went halvesies with a lender, I think. And the coaster quality was just not really good. And he just kind of fizzled out after like a month of doing it, right? I've been doing it consistently for about 9 months now. And it has been very, it's definitely not something I'm shutting off, if that makes sense, right? Then there's strategic operatives. Now, this is just another word for your referral sources, right? So this is going to be any of your top 100 clients that you've worked with in the past that have had a good experience with you. About 3 years ago, I hired Stacy Brown Randall. She wrote the book Generating Referrals Without Asking. I do not ask for referrals, but I always let people know that I wish I had a dozen more just like them. If I did, in fact, want to have a dozen more just like them. I'm not going to ask for referrals from those clients that are a headache, right? But anyone who has referred me business in the past, or anyone that's an A+ client, they get uploaded into an Excel list, and I make sure that I know exactly who those people are, so that if I'm out in the market, I'm at a restaurant, I'm out getting a Subway sandwich, I'm at the gym, and I run into this person, I know that this is someone that I need to pay attention to, right? And it has to be a genuine, has to be authentic. These are friends and alumni clients of yours. I always try to make sure that I'm getting them at least one card every single quarter. Sometimes I will send little raffle tickets. I'll make a donation in their name and there's raffle tickets. Sometimes I'll send off a scratch off card. Sometimes I'll mail out copies of my coasters, or if I'm updating my business cards. Anytime that someone sends me a referral, whether that referral works out or not, they also get a card like this from me directly as well. Anytime I have a brand new referral that comes in, I've gotten 3 referrals in the last week, I will handwrite a note to that person who referred, whether that person becomes a client or not. And then once that person becomes a client, I will also send them a card and know I'm so grateful that this person referred me. This is just planting the seed inside of the mind of the people that you are talking to, that you are an agent worth referring. And since I started implementing that strategy, I think it was back in 2022. I think that's right. In 2022, you know those like Facebook groups where you get like someone will ask for a real estate agent or a realtor, or they're planning to make a move to the area, and then all of a sudden gets bombarded with like 300 or 400 comments. Well, in the last 2 years, I'm usually mentioned the most, and usually about twice as much as the person that's mentioned twice. Now, I typically in the past didn't really believe in those Facebook groups as a good source of getting clients. But in 2024 alone, I got 8 clients from those Facebook groups directly, right? People who were just actually screening through those Facebook groups, looking for names that were mentioned regularly. The key trick to that is making sure that you are thanking the referral source. It's always about the person who is sharing your name, not necessarily the referral. You want to reward the behavior of someone sharing your name and referring you as someone that they can trust, right? So I know exactly who those people are every time they share my name on there. I personally will thank them in that Facebook group. I will also share my information on that as well. But I know exactly who my strategic operatives are, the people who are referring me business regularly, and I make sure that I'm always staying front of mind with them and that I'm taking care of them. One year I sent out a little calendar that was like a daily flip book that you could flip through, and it said some sort of motivational quote. This last year I sent off I made a donation in their name for $20, and then they get added to a raffle where every day of 2025 there is a name drawn out of a hat and someone wins $20. There are a few days where you can win like 250, but it's a cool little thing that just shows them that I'm thinking of them and keeps me front of mind with them. But the key trick with your referral sources is to rethink, make it about the person referring you, not the referrer themselves. So annual cards or annual gifts, quarterly cards, knowing exactly who they are is a critical part of that. With your top ones, I invite them out and I'll have like a cup of coffee with them, or if they're a beer drinker, I'll have a beer with them. But it's been a pretty consistent thing. So I call it LASSO just because it's a good acronym for it. That's Land, Air, Sea, and Strategic Operatives. If you actually put all of these things together, it makes a very well-rounded marketing strategy. It's not uncommon for me to have, in fact, this happened just 4 weeks ago, the day before Christmas Eve, so 23rd of December. I had someone who reached out to me. They had listed their property before with another agent. It didn't sell. And she reached out to me and said that she found me on those Facebook groups. And then she started seeing my videos showing up on Facebook everywhere, because she must have gone to my website by clicking one of the links. I pixel people. So if they go to my website, my stuff is going to start showing up in front of them everywhere. And then she was talking to her mother, and her mother actually has met me before. I found out who her mother was, and I sent her a card as well. And then I sent the seller a card for reaching out to me. And then I went on that listing appointment and got the listing just last week. So what ended up happening is they saw me from multiple different approaches, from knowing me in person, that's land, air. They saw the digital stuff. They got the cards from me from the sea. The In this situation, I wouldn't have considered the mother a strategic operative at that point because she had actually never worked with me before, but now she is. So anytime, she's going to be added to my list of people that gets consistent information as far as that goes. So when you really bring all of these things together, it makes business a lot easier. So it's not uncommon for me to really just wake up in the morning and have someone who is like, hey, I'm referring you over a client because they know you. With the land approach, I do teach from time to time on what I call having an attractive character, which is being easygoing, being someone that is not overly pretentious, like someone that you can talk to, right? When I'm at a restaurant or a bar, I usually will have my laptop out, I'll have my notebook out. But if someone is sitting down next to me and they're talking and they have a question or whatever, we'll just kind of start having conversations easily. I can't tell you, when I first got in the business, I'm not much of a big drinker anymore, but when I first got in the business, I would say roughly 10% of my business actually came from people I met out at the bars, honestly. But when you get in front of people and you're talking to them about real estate or they're just asking questions, you got to be able to have conversations that are more than just, hey, the real estate market is great. I use a lot of stories when I'm talking to people. People are asking me, how's the real estate market today? My conversation is going to be, well, for my buyers right now, it's a good opportunity for them to get closing costs or some concessions. From Q3 and Q4, 2024, that was a different market, right? That was not what we saw in 2020, 2021, at least in my market, right? For my sellers right now, I'm telling them that we need to have patience. So when people ask me about those things, I'm having a more detailed conversation about what's actually happening in the market and presenting myself as an expert. I call it having a feet in the street perspective on the real estate market. And what's nice about it is someone might just meet me out and about and have a conversation with me about it. And they might not know who I am at all. They might not have had any interaction with any of the digital marketing. They might never seen a flyer. They might never seen a coaster, but they have a conversation with me. Now they're driving down the street and they see my car, which is wrapped. They're like, hey, I know that guy. Maybe they're on Facebook and all of a sudden they see my videos show up, or they see they're on YouTube searching for how to buy a home, or what do I need steps to get ready to sell my home. They start to see me show up. Now they've seen me from multiple different angles and different touches, right? So by building each step of this, it works a lot better. You don't have to do it all at one time. Just do one small thing every single day and improve your business over time to have everything included in that. But really being personable and someone people can talk to and relatable, those things are going to do a lot better. And even with the digital marketing, my first 2 years of running like Facebook ads, I used to have a green screen behind me. I even used to do that with my YouTube videos. I found that the engagement with more of a just pull out my cell phone and record a video has actually gotten 4 times as much watch time as, making a very detailed green screen footage presented to an editor feel to it. But when people feel like you're relatable and you're someone they can talk to, it makes it a lot easier for them to feel comfortable working with you. I can't tell you how many agents that I've met personally that, they dress up in suits and they're kind of intimidating, really, right? Like the average consumer isn't really used to just being in front of a person who's in a full-on suit every single day. I usually wear a t-shirt, a polo, and jeans every day when I'm working. I almost always have some sort of branding with me as well, especially when I'm at the gym. I'll have something that says "Coffee and Contracts," a little house on it, Sandra's favorite realtor. You can buy there's probably like dozens of different options of different shirts you can buy that are real estate related on Amazon. That's what I did. I just bought I don't know, I probably bought over 30 shirts over the course of the years that are real estate related on there. And people will see you as a real estate agent, and then again, as they see you more and more. If you do decide to wrap your vehicle, make sure you do it in a way that is going to be eye-catching. There are people that I know that like, oh, I put branding on my vehicle, and it's really just a square with their name on it and their brokerage. I mean, that might work to a certain extent, but a lot of people are going to overlook that. Mine, like, it honestly looks kind of like a race car. It's just a little hybrid car. And when you have that, make sure you park it in strategic areas so that people are seeing it regularly. I actually have two vehicles too. I'd like to have a non-wrapped vehicle for when I go on listing appointments because I don't want to have one of the neighbors who just got their real estate license start knocking on that seller's door. And not every seller wants people to know that their house is going to be coming on the market right away, right? There's kind of a process to it, right? From the coasters and the postcards are all about consistency. If you're going to start farming an area, make sure that you send out a postcard every 2 weeks for the first 4 to 5, for the first 2 to 2.5 months. And then you can start doing that monthly after that, right? If you just do it 1 or 2 times, it's not going to work, right? You have to do it consistently and you got to show up where people are looking. That's one of the things I used to train agents back when I ran a team years ago is you got to put yourself in the way for good things to happen, right? Whatever it is that your approach is going to be, I use the acronym LASSO. You got to figure out a way to be in front of people. You got to have some sort of digital presence. You have to have some tangible items. Some people have books that they drop off. I know people who drop off CMAs. I know people have boxes that they will put their books, their CMAs, their postcards, their marketing plans inside of, and they will drop those off at houses. You got to have, you have to know who the people are who are referring you consistently. So that you can love on them. There are people that when I'm out at a restaurant or bar, and if I see them out there, just waving passing because they're busy, I will tap the server that I have, and I'll just put $10 on the table and say apply it to their bill, so that I'm actually doing something for them, like out in the real world as well. And really, the goal is to be genuine with that, but it does all circle back, right? You dish it out in slices, it comes back in loaves, and making sure that you're touching people from multiple different angles from a marketing approach is a very strategic thing. And it's really worked out for me as well. Like I said, I won best agent 3 years in a row in my market. I probably don't do the most business, but I'm definitely someone who gets referred quite a bit, and it has made business a lot easier. Now, there's not very many people here who are on video today. So if anyone has any questions, I'm going to open up the last 2 minutes to that right now. Allison wanted to see the for sale signs. I'll see if I can find the more current ones on that. Anyone? I did order a new set of coasters here recently too. These are going to be, this one is actually the QR code on there is actually going to take them to my home search website. I like to change up the colors on these things periodically so I know which coasters are out there working. If you do use QR codes, make sure you're using a QR code generator. I did change these up these two. I have a cat that I got about 3-4 months. You can probably see her running around here. And I always put my awards on here. Like I won best agent in my market last year. My core values are on here. I think that this is probably, from a strategic standpoint, probably the most impactful thing that I've done in the last year. In fact, I've talked to a few loan officers in the city, and they're of the same opinion. They want to co-market with me on it. I won't do it. I like having my coasters to myself. I couldn't find a thing for the for sale signs. You can go on to my personal Facebook page. You can find that on there as well. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Autumn, you got anything for me?
Nope, that was great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay. Next week, I'll be jumping on and I will be talking about my morning routine, how I practice an offensive and defensive strategy. That's all about getting the work done in the morning. Usually the first 2 to 3 hours for me are very strategic. That's when I'm going to be following up with prospective clients. That's where I'm moving the needle forward on business. I tell people you have 3 main jobs as a real estate agent: generate business, maintain business, close business. The first 3 to 4 hours of each day are going to be all about How do we generate business and making sure that we are getting consistent clients? The rest of the day is about those inspections, those showings, those appraisals, getting signs in the yards and all of that. So for anyone who is, lurking here now, or people who are watching this recording, I will be on next Thursday at, I guess it's 10 p.m. PST time. I'm in the Midwest, so 10 a.m. for me. Cheers.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.